All right, it's another messy hair day. Yeah, that's how it goes. It's nice not to have to you know sort of look decent, whatever that means. So yeah, messy hair day. This is going to be going away really soon. So enjoy it while it lasts because it's not going to. I'm pretty lazy about these kinds of things, so I'll probably be saying that for about another week. It's it's got to uh, it's got to start driving me crazy, and it's just started to drive me a little crazy. Right? It's getting a little out of control. So you know, it's got to go sooner than later. Hello, one viewer. I will figure out who you are here momentarily. There's probably a way to find out who's viewing from the Google Hangouts, but I haven't really bothered to look at that yet. Um, if you don't mind, I'm just going to. Oh, so that is the chat. Okay, that's a different chat. All right. I'm thinking that this is not going to work yet, so I'm just going to do what I have been doing and load the chat on my Linux machine, and then load the uh, the live stream. And I have figured out what to call this. Right? I mean, this is how incredibly dense I can be. It's like I mean, do I call this a podcast? Do I call this what is this? It's like, no, it's a live stream. It's a live stream. Okay. So it's a live stream. OMC Triple X. Hey, how you doing? Yeah. Evening for sure. It's pretty wild, interesting day here. Usually it's not incredibly exciting. Things happen, but they happen sort of slowly. But today there was just a pile up of kind of interesting, exciting events. So yeah, very cool. My wife is out of town. She was supposed to be coming back late this afternoon, and yesterday she called, and it's like, well, I really need to stay another day. So it's like, oh, okay. So I'll just reschedule, uh, and I'll go into work today, and uh, not go into work tomorrow. No problem at all. So then, but I get this phone caller about. I usually leave for work about 10:30 or so. I'm on short days, which has its advantages and disadvantages. The advantages is that I have a lot of time to work on my own things, do various homework stuff, various chores, and really get an opportunity to focus on some projects, focus on some research. So yeah, so but I get this phone call at about 8:30, 8 o'clock or so, saying that the power is out, or at least partially out, and they're going to have to. Now I'm the system administrator there, at least the local one. So typically, if there's like a power outage or anything else, I'll run around. All our machines are on UPSs, the uninterruptible power supplies. So if the power goes out, the computers and all of our other equipment at least has a little bit of time to uh, allow us, to manually power down. Now tonight, just as an interjection, okay, I've got the coffee here, and this is one of those really thick, mugs, really awesome. Okay, I don't recommend this, but this mug has been dropped quite a bit, and it's survived maybe 2 or 3 drops or so on what would otherwise be very destructive. So cheers. And I had to go with the hydrogen hydroxide again. That's sort of my go-to workhorse. Dihydrogen oxide is it's not exactly a special occasion drink, but I'm just not gonna. I mean, it's a little intense. So I would much rather just go with the hydrogen hydroxide, as long as there isn't any fuzzies in it. It's okay. So, hey, Bob Dog, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Everything's good here. Just explaining my drink of choice, as I like to do. So, cheers. Some really nice hydrogen hydroxide. It's very calming and does great things for the joints, and yeah, just overall just a very calming chemical. So I like to pour that down pretty much as I possibly can. So for those of you who are watching live, hey. For those of you who are watching in the future, I envy you. This is Astronomy Daily Live, and as the name implies, this is a daily live stream about astronomy and sort of the related sciences. I like to talk about the scientific process, but this is all things astronomy, okay? And it happens every single day at 2 hours UTC. So depending on where you are on the planet, you're going to have to figure out what that time is for you locally. I can tell you that I am in, come on up. We've got a friend here. Let's see if he'll give a little, no, he's much more interested in just being down on the lap. Last night, it was an interesting cat night. Anyway, so where I'm in southeastern Arizona, in a very dark and quiet location. Those were my 2 requirements in finding a place to finally land, and hopefully never ever leave. It had to be dark, and it had to be quiet, and this location is both of those things. I dreamed as a as a kid and a young adult, living in the city, to be able to just walk out my back door or my front door and have the everything that the sky can offer. I can see every visible star. I can see the zodiacal light. If I were to see like an aurora here, I would definitely see it. When it's cloudy here, the clouds are black. Okay, they're not lit up by any lights because it's dark out here. There's nothing there. There's nothing much out here at all. Cheers. And so it is black. It is blacker. It is dark. It's a nice, beautiful, dark dark sky, and that's just how I want it. And so I can take this guy out anytime I want, right? Anytime I want to, and I can have just an awesomely dark sky, and that is absolutely fantastic. So here in Southern Arizona, we're on Mountain Standard Time, and that is 7 hours behind Universal Time. So here, when it is 2 hours UTC, I've got to subtract 7, right? So if you subtract 7 from 2 hours, of course you go through 0 hours UTC, and then another 5. So local time right now is 7:10 p.m. So that, if there's confusion about the date being the 23rd of January, which to me would be tomorrow, right? But it's not, because it's 0 hours UTC on the 23rd, and that's exactly the same time as 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So depending on where you are on the planet, you have to figure out when the show is going to go live, and don't feel obligated to show up here that much at all. This is a circle of friends, so I definitely would like to see you, from time to time. And if you want to come in every single day, come on. This is fun and interesting stuff, I hope. So yeah, but you'll have to figure out exactly what time that is depending on your location. And I can't tell you because I don't know where you are, nor do I want to know where you are. So that's none of my business. It doesn't matter. Here we are, and I'm right here, and it's right now, and yes. So Astronomy Daily Live is for newbies. It's for amateurs. It's for advanced amateurs. It's for professionals. It's for everyone. I will work with any level at all, from the basic to the most advanced topics and mathematical things that you all want to talk about. And most of the conversations I would like to be directed by you, and the right to to be in on the conversation and ask things and make comments, just as if we were sitting in a circle, just having a chat, and indulging in our favorite intakes, be it anything. Just having a nice, clear, open, skeptical mind, and have some fun, right? So I will always have some topics to talk about, and I actually have a couple tonight. If we don't get to them, there's always tomorrow, and there's always the next day. Presumably, we're going on history here, and so far I've always experienced a tomorrow. So that will be going on again. If I don't fix that I've sort of thought of during the day, I don't care. I mean, and this is a circle of friends. So I don't know about you, but conversation amongst a group of friends is extremely dynamic, right? I mean, it goes all over the place, tangents and back and forth, and you know, smaller groups. You know, if there's a group of 5, conversation with 2 and a conversation with 3, you know, that's sort of what the chat um, um, uh, uh, allow you to have any side conversations that you want, not necessarily having, you know, to listen to me blathering the whole time. I definitely want to bring in, you know, some panelists. So if you're interested in that, you can email me at cosmiclettuce@gmail.com. And by the way, and I need to mention this on some of the live streams that I visit during the course of the day. You can call me Cosmic. Don't worry about, you know, the lettuce part unless you are so inclined. First name and last name. So you know, going to, you know, continuously call somebody Joe Smith. Hey, Joe Smith. It's like, hey, Joe. You know, so Cosmic. Hey, Cosmic. That's me. And in fact, we're all cosmic. So so any kind of topic, I'm open, you know, to anything astronomical. But you know, and that is a back and forth thing. So you know, I can ask you things as well as you ask me, because I learn things, especially, you know, the newcomers who find you know, some pieces to, you know, the puzzle. There's, you know, confusion about things, or, you know, they like to hear others' opinions about things. So but we can talk about observing, or we can talk about gear, or telescopes, or cameras, and instrumentation, um, um, research, analyzing data. We can definitely get into, you know, looking at different papers in the various, you know, professional. That's really, you know, the bleeding edge of all of this papers, and there are resources online where you can read journal papers um, uh, right after they're approved for publication, but haven't actually been published yet. And that's extremely awesome. And that is the bleeding edge thought. And archive.org, be all really quick, since I'm not seeing any chit chat in the chat. .org here. Take a quick look, because I want to be able to share this more instead of having to stare at my big ugly face. So I'm going to screen share. That is their song. Then we're going to go to infinity. That is so cool. .org. And this is hosted by Cornell. Thank you, you guys, for doing this. This is the this for me, this is like just heaven on earth. There's currently 1,350,291 e-prints. All aspects of science. So physics, mathematics, computer science, finance, economics, awesome stuff. And of course, rightly placed, the top thing is the astrophysics. So you can go into here, and these are updated every weekday. The new ones for the 23rd of January 2018, because it is the 23rd of January 2018 UTC, right? It is 219. So we got our new list of doodads here, of papers. So, you know, these are the titles, and these are the abstracts. And an abstract is just a very, very brief description of the entire paper, right? So then you can, I'll just dive into one of these. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I want to cover some other things tonight. But all of these have a PDF file associated with them. So here's a paper called Deuterated Formaldehyde in the Low Mass Protostar HH212. So they're looking at this thing called a protostar, and they're finding formaldehyde in the star, or maybe on the atmosphere of the star, but it's deuterated. So formaldehyde usually has hydrogen atoms in it. Well, they're finding deuterium atoms in it. Deuterium is a form of hydrogen. The typical hydrogen atom, they say at least, has a proton in the nucleus, a single proton in the nucleus, and a single electron orbiting that nucleus. Deuterium also has one proton and one electron, but also in the nucleus it has a neutron. So it's like heavy hydrogen, and maybe you've heard the term heavy water. Okay, heavy water is deuterium. It's D2O. Hey, Warmac69 XXX. Nice to see you. We are looking at archive.org here, just because I mentioned it. Anyway, I'm not gonna go off on too many tangents. Just wanted to show you that archive.org exists, and it is the bleeding edge of astronomy. This is these are the latest and greatest papers, and these come out every weekday. And usually there's, you know, between 20 and 30 of these, and it covers all the major astronomical journals, or scientific journals, you know, that cover astronomy in some way. There's the Astrophysical Journal, there's the Astronomical Journal, there's like Nature, there's the publications of the Astronomical Society of the Pacific. And as you can see up here in the corner, let me zoom in, that says MNRAS. Okay, that is the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. So this is the sort of the British version of the Astrophysical Journal, which is more centered on the United States. Yeah, Tom, I totally agree, and I'm going to stop sharing so I can graphical way. Boom, Shiva. In a graphical way, my tolerance for this kind of stuff. Okay, I like to hear about and read about and think about topics that are about, can't really shrink down low enough, they're about this that are flying about this high above my head. Okay, maybe about a foot, maybe 2 feet, not quite arm's length, right? That's where I want to be when I'm reading anything astronomical, just above my head. So I've got something to sort of aim for, right? If it's hitting here, or if it's hitting here or lower or anything, I'm yawning. I'm absolutely yawning because it's just like, I've heard that already. I know that already, right? So come on, I want to hear something new and interesting and mind blowing, right? And I got a couple of ears here. funny kitties. I have some funny kitties. Anyway, so that's archive.org. So what I do, okay, is I've always sort of kept my ear out for astronomical news, and so when I hear of any astronomical news, either through a news agency or Twitter or any of the online type of things, um, uh, I will immediately try to find the actual paper, because you can go to the news article and you can read what the writer of the news article thought about the work being talked about. But for me, I like to go to the source. I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. I want to see exactly what kind of problem they were trying to solve, how they solved it, and what their conclusions are. And that's sort of the format of every single paper. It's it's sort of a view into several parts of the scientific process. So yeah, that's what I do immediately. There, in fact, just was it today? I think it was today. I probably still have it up on this screen. Yeah, no. It was the other day. There was some kind of article about these things that have just sort of recently been discovered, called fast radio bursts, and these are the radio astronomers are always looking around, just like any good astronomer does, and they started noticing these what they're calling fast radio bursts. And I mean fast, milliseconds, just like a really fast bolt of lightning, just a boom. But nobody understands what is causing them. They don't seem to be in our galaxy, because they're not. Yeah, and they seem to be sort of random. They're sort of appearing all over the sky. A couple of them repeat, and I think that's what the interesting thing about this particular one was, is that this one is a repeater. And so there was a nice news article about it. Gets me interested enough to want to find the actual paper, which I did. And this is a paper that either just has been published in the journal called Nature, or will be soon. As I said, the papers at archive.org are the bleeding edge of astronomical work. So yeah, that's what I do, and I totally understand, Tom, that a lot of the articles are just too much, right? They're just too much. Unless you want to spend a lot of time trying to figure all that out and everything else. But what I like to do is I like to read, and I'm going to share my screen again, some of the titles, because really smart, some of them, because just the words that are being used are so unusual. See if I can find one. Observations of electron-driven evaporation during a flare precursor. I mean, I sound so smart when I say that. Magnetic reconnection at the earliest stage of solar flux emergence. It's just like, wow. But yeah, it is hard. And I think my recommendation, Tom, is go through the articles, and what I do is I look at the title first, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that sounds a little interesting, and I read the abstract, right, which is also right there, and it's like, okay, well, let's see, and if it's flying way over my head, which most of these do too, it's like, well, I just I'm not ready to absorb that kind of information yet. But I would highly recommend that everybody, whether you're new or an old pro, take a look at these, because they're I mean, if nothing else, a lot of the pictures, a lot of the graphs and plots and images and all that are absolutely beautiful. They are sort of works of art in and of themselves, and I don't really think that a lot of astronomers realize how artistic some of those pictures are. So some of them are just absolutely fantastic, and you can pack a lot of information into a plot. So yeah, if nothing else, look at the pictures. Really, I mean, it's sort of like being in kindergarten again, where you're just interested in the picture books, and but hey, you got to start somewhere, and nothing. I mean, you got to start at the beginning if you're going to understand things. And so just look at the pictures, read the captions under the pictures, see if you can at least sort of understand that, get an idea at least of what they are referring to, and then go into the paper and see where it talks about that particular plot or that particular picture, and see what you can get out of that. So it's not really a requirement to understand all of it, and it's an absolute fact that not all astronomers are going to understand what other astronomers are talking about, because it's a unfortunately, it is sort of a specialized field, and everybody is sort of in their box. I'm lucky, I think, in that I realize that sort of a multidisciplinary approach was more satisfying So I just sort of naturally have done that. So my experience is sort of very, very broad, but also very, very deep. So I've got a pretty good understanding of a lot of things. Uh-oh, I got a friend in the background there. All right, Tom says, I look for things like, Pamela Gay, Phil Platt, Frazier, Paul Matt. Yeah, he's awesome. Um, yeah. I think uh, any resource that you can find, if you have a desire, to understand, you'll figure it out. No worries at all. And I'm hoping that Astronomy Daily Live is is just sort of a fun, casual conversation, not necessarily trying to pump you with facts or just sort of give you news about what's going on, but just talk about some interesting things, and um, there's there's so much that can be talked about in terms of astronomy. It's a never-ending thing, as science should be. Science is a circular process. There is no beginning. There is no end. It just goes on and on and on. It's what's called a process fractal, and maybe you've heard of like a geometrical fractal, like the Mandelbrot set, or uh, other geometrical um, fractals. Well, science is, and actually life is a process fractal, and that is you have process, this process, and it has an input and it has an output, and the output is connected back to the input, and so the input comes in, it's processed, there's an output, it goes back into the input, it's processed. It just goes on and on like that, and what you end up with is precisely what we have. Precisely, it couldn't be any other way. At least for the processes that are involved. So it's extremely cool, and it will never end. So there will always be uh, new things to talk about, old things to talk about, current things to talk about. It's just never ending, and that goes for all of science. So it's a blossoming. It's like a plant growing, and got a little bit of control on that growth, but that tomato is going to take as long as it needs to grow and mature and ripen. So, and there's not much that you can do about either speeding that up or slowing it down, and that goes for any plant and any of these process fractals. So yeah, very, very cool. And yeah, I'm going to try, in the show, to definitely give um, uh, shout outs to those folks who are doing those kinds of things. Pamela Gay, she's amazing. The more and more I learn about her, um, uh, she's just absolutely amazing. She's also a jack of all trades. So I understand that really, really well. And but yeah, she's leagues above me for sure, for sure. Doing some really, really cool stuff. Um, uh, um, Phil Phil Plate. He's the bad astronomer. Is that right? And I just my opinions here. I'm, I, I guess I never really connected with him much. Don't know why. It's just the delivery. So Fraser is really, really great. He's extremely enthusiastic, extremely smart. Paul Matt, exactly the same thing. He's got a really interesting personality too. Sometimes it can be a little rough, and I appreciate that. I think always trying to be politically correct uh, and behaving in a certain way. No, he's just being himself, and I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. And yeah, all of those shows fundamentally come down to education. They are targeting an audience who is hungry for information, and they are willing to give it. And one of the one of the reasons why I started this stream, this daily show, is because um, I want to come at that from sort of a different direction, where um, I sort of scientists are the what did I call them? The high priests. When somebody has, way back when somebody had, some kind of a problem or a question, they would run to the high priest, and the high priest would sort of, uh, feel obligated to provide answers um, or explanations. And I think that definitely has its place, but I think it's not it's not exactly fair, because scientists are humans too, and despite how confident a lot of scientists seem, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of hand waving. There's a lot of guesswork, and good stuff. And but it's nothing's a sure thing, and to think such thing as a sure thing, I can't go there. I'm too skeptical about things. Um, uh, I question everything, and I think scientists need to do that. They need to question their questions. It's another one of those fractal things. It just goes on and on and on. So, all right, well, cool. Thanks, Tom. I wanted to at least cover one topic tonight. The other night, I was talking about asteroid occultations and how those are at least one of the things in the sky that you can actually see happen, right? Asteroid occultation lasts a few seconds or so, so it's sort of an exciting event because it just sort of happens, and it's fast, and it's very exciting, right? Well, one of the other really, really cool things to do is to observe the motions of satellites, of artificial satellites that are orbiting the Earth. And of course, well, I don't know if you know this or not, but you can see these things, and there's dozens of them that can be seen every single evening and every single morning. You, uh, artificial satellites are only visible if the sun is shining on them, and we can see that from the ground. So we can only see the motions of artificial satellites only through a couple hours after sunset and into a couple hours before sunrise. In the middle of the night, Earth's shadow is being cast on the satellites, and you're not going to see them. So this is coffee, plain old coffee. This nice thick mug. Look at that, nice thick mug. Love it. I love it. And the drink of choice tonight is again hydrogen hydroxide. It's my go-to drink for sure. So you can observe, you can see dozens of satellites, especially if you're in a dark site. You can see dozens of satellites in the early evenings, and then again dozens of satellites in the early morning.